Welcome back. This is Pharma Careers, clear role breakdowns, practical skills, and step-by-step career roadmaps.
Have you seen those ads online? You know the ones, promising you this amazing, glamorous career as a medical science liaison, an MSL, in like 30 days? Yeah, let's be honest, it sounds way too good to be true, because it is. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that hype and build a real blueprint for what it actually takes to land and succeed in this incredible role.
Right, let's just get this out of the way from the jump. This whole idea of becoming a fully fledged MSL in 30 days, it's complete and utter nonsense. And here's why. The entire role, the whole thing, is built on something you can't rush or fake, and that's deep scientific trust. And that is something that takes time to earn.
So, if you're really serious about this career, your very first step, the most important one really, is to separate that online fantasy from the on-the-ground reality. It's the only way you're going to know if this demanding but super rewarding path is actually for you.
I mean, just look at the words here. Field-facing, science-heavy, respected. This stuff right here is what makes the MSL role so magnetic. You're not a salesperson. You're seen as a scientific peer to some of the top physicians in the world. But here's the key. That respect, it isn't just given to you with the job title. Nope, it is earned every single day through real, deep, demonstrable expertise.
Okay, so what does being that scientific expert actually look like day to day? Forget that myth of just chilling in fancy cafes having easy chats. The reality is, well, it's a lot more structured, a lot more strategic, and way more demanding. Let's break down what a day really involves.
So, if it's not just sipping lattes with doctors, what actually fills up the hours, the weeks, and the months of a medical science liaison? Well, the answer really pulls back the curtain on the true scope and complexity of this job, and honestly, it might surprise you. This list gives you a pretty good snapshot of the mission, right? You're planning these really high-level scientific discussions, you're meeting with the top experts in the field, the key opinion leaders, and you're bringing back critical insights. It's super dynamic. But I want you to zero in on that very last point, documenting every single interaction. This isn't just some boring paperwork. It is, without a doubt, one of the most critical, high-stakes parts of the entire job.
And let's be crystal clear about this. Documentation is everything in the MSL world. It's not optional. It is absolutely non-negotiable. Every single scientific conversation has to be logged, has to be compliant with incredibly strict regulations, and has to be traceable. One little misstep here can have enormous consequences.
So all this intense focus on compliance and accuracy, well, it completely shapes the entire hiring process. So you can't think of it as just a job interview. You really need to think of it as a corporate credibility test. They're not just checking what you know, they are testing your character. Essentially, companies are screening for these three core pillars. First, competence. Can you actually hold your own in a deep scientific debate with an expert? Second, maturity. When that expert pushes back, and they will, can you stay calm and professional? And third, discipline. Do you have that built-in instinct for the compliance red lines you can never, ever cross?
And this slide just lays out the dividing line perfectly. Candidates fail when they start sounding like sales reps, when they overpromise, or when they just crumble under a little bit of pressure. The ones who succeed, they stick to the evidence, they handle tough questions with poise, and they show real scientific depth. It's a night and day difference, right? One is selling, the other is educating. And companies want the educator every single time.
Oh, and you better believe they're going to test you on this. They use these high-pressure, role-playing scenarios. They'll have an interviewer act like a doctor and just aggressively challenge your data. They'll ask you an off-label question just to see if you know exactly how to respond compliantly. They might even bring up an adverse event to see if you follow procedure perfectly. How you respond? Well, it tells them everything they need to know.
Okay, I know, that all sounds pretty intense. But here's the good news. This role is totally achievable if you follow a realistic path. This isn't about finding some magic shortcut. It's all about smart, strategic preparation.
So this is what that journey usually looks like. And notice, it's a progression. The most successful MSLs, they almost never just jump straight into a field role. They often start inside the company, maybe in a medical information role, where they can build that foundational expertise and really sharpen their skills. It's a strategic climb, not a single giant leap. So how do you prove you're ready for that climb? Simple. You build a mini portfolio of proof. You don't just tell them you can do the job, you show them. You create sharp summaries of key clinical trials. You build a killer slide deck. You practice answering the toughest questions you can possibly imagine.
See what this does? It changes everything. You go from being someone who just wants the job to someone who has already started doing the job.
So as we bring this all together, it becomes so clear that every single piece of this puzzle, the daily tasks, that intense interview, the career path, it's all built on one single foundational principle. It's not a shortcut career. It's a credibility career. That's the core truth right there. The fancy title, the travel, the salary, all of that stuff is just a byproduct. The real currency in this world, the one thing that makes everything else possible, is your unwavering scientific and personal credibility, period.
So, the final question isn't just whether you want the job, it's whether you're prepared to do the hard work, the real work, to build the foundation that it absolutely demands. Is your credibility ready for the test?
If this helped, like and subscribe. Watch the next video in Pharma Careers for the next role breakdown.